Yes. Yes. I'm trying to reach my great son. I can't figure out what to do with this second strap on this respirator. N95. He gave me got an extra strap on my. I just trying to figure out what to do with that second strap.
Folks, the world is upside down. You're not hallucinating. You are actually experiencing the return of the Renegade. I'd like to welcome you aboard the Starship once again tonight as we blast through the depths of outer space together, folks, on that never-ending search for rationality in the world, and especially in the world of public education, a world in which I no longer reside in terms of a profession. If you look at the previous shows that or episodes that I've made, I recently resigned from teaching after my, I guess 7th year. It's quite a journey, folks. I'll be honest with you. And as I come to you tonight, fired up in a new paradigm, in a world that is completely different than it was the last time that I produced content on the channel. It's a surreal time for everybody right now, with all the madness across the land. It's honestly, it's a whole lot to try to swallow all at the same time. But I come to you tonight mainly to try to find my footing, to resize and reshape how much I'm going to need to cuff as I move forward in my professional life, as I redefine my career. I have a lot of different things that I'm attempting to figure out, but I honestly want to continue the show on a slightly different format. So the main topic I want to talk about tonight, in this perhaps maybe once a week type show, the first one of these is just to try to process how in the world public education is going to survive in this post-pandemic world, and obviously the pandemic is ongoing, but and to also almost just relax some. As you can tell from the intro, I can't help it, folks. I can't help but, to be honest with you, I can't help but almost laugh at how much the system couldn't take, in terms of just how easily everything fell apart in terms of education. It's almost like they just couldn't see this eventuality coming, to the world. Even though it had happened so many times in the past, it's just such a level of incompetence, and we have to almost, while we mourn the enormous loss of human life, just due to the pandemic and to just everything that's going on right now in terms of the economy, and these racially fired up protests, this just terrible situation with just the country in general right now. Everything just seems to be falling apart. But one of the only ways that we're going to make it through it is to laugh at the things we can when we can, without being insensitive. And to be honest with you, I can't help but giggle and just almost enjoy. I am enjoying it, actually, seeing the world try to figure out how in the world we're gonna assemble any type of school ever again, how it will ever go back to what it was, and it's just not going to work. There's going to be a million different ways that these institutions try to adapt and to provide services, and it's just not going to work. And it's sad, and it's tragic. But at the same time, I have to be honest too with the world that the kids aren't learning the curriculums. They're not. They're not. When I say they are not, I mean the majority of students are not getting anywhere near the level of instruction that they could benefit from if it were, productive instruction, effective instruction, and so forth. But I can tell you this: the youth of this country is learning a whole lot more from what they're seeing go down around them than what they'll ever learn from a distance learning curriculum. The events happening in the world right now, whether that learning be positive, negative, from whatever perspective you want to consider it from, the truth is they are learning a hell of a lot from all of this. Again, that's just a gross measurement in terms of how much the average young person is paying attention to world events. This has gripped everything that's going on right now, has absolutely gripped the entire nation, with everybody kind of being in stay-at-home mode. At least the ones with any sense are kind of in stay-at-home mode. Or, bless their hearts, the ones that have to work and are being forced to work, or else they, lose their job with no hope of unemployment. That's a whole tragic scenario to consider as well. But I can tell you this, guys, just to reiterate, the amount of learning happening is incredible, and I just don't see a way out for public education. The system is so torn up, it's so destructive, how much this has just ripped the systems apart. People have no idea what to do with all of their time. They're completely losing their minds in this stay-at-home, shelter-in-place kind of mentality. And I was blown away just to explore the realm of education news. I opened up edweek.org just to kind of glimpse over it, just to kind of take a little glance at it, and every headline has terminology regarding the pandemic. Just education, folks, is in a downward spiral. There is no way out. There is no way out. Last I heard, 75% of parents of school-age children are unwilling to allow their children to return to the classrooms at the current state of affairs. And as we all know, things are going to go, they're going to get worse before they get better in terms of the pandemic, and perhaps even a lot of the civil unrest happening regarding other topics as well. It's just not a good situation, and I don't know where this is going to go, but it's going to be fascinating to watch how it progresses. And I believe that it is going to warrant a perhaps a blog or some type of coverage here on the channel, perhaps, of just watching how this all unfolds, just monitoring everything that different places are trying. But honestly, just it's hard to say this to be so seemingly pessimistic, but I think anybody with any sense can tell this is like watching a train wreck in slow motion, and just not really being able to do anything about it, no matter how loud you yell. I've been yelling about the pandemic for a long time, early March, and just like nobody cared, and it was like they allowed it to happen, to at least to invade the United States, with basically unchecked. It's just has been like watching a train wreck happen, and it continues to this day, and it will for a long time. We're going to see a absolute shredding of public education. There is no way. There is absolutely no way. I want to see all these quacks, all these people with their classroom observation forms to evaluate teachers. I want to see them going around and evaluating the online videos and this nonsense, and applying their pseudoscience to that substandard way of instruction, and just the students on the computer end, trying to consume this content. Folks, it is absolutely going to fall apart, and I am going to be here to bring you the news as it happens. There is going to be a point here where live streams could be a thing, where I might, folks, just start broadcasting out the downfall of public education. There is going to be nightmare scenarios where students are logging in for each other, doing work. It's going to get out of control. It's already out of control. It is going to just go into absolute hyperspeed, folks. There is going to be a meltdown of public education. I cannot believe that I am saying this and we are experiencing all of this together. I cannot process how in the world, folks, the system was so unprepared for this eventuality. It just blows my mind completely off the map that they could have driven this locomotive straight into, 4 cubic miles of concrete, and it is just disintegrating as it hits this concrete, folks. I can't believe how much this has been allowed to happen, and just completely shred any hope of putting it back together. I don't know. I'm blown away. I am completely blown away. How in the world is all I can say. I'm gonna need a blood pressure cuff just thinking about the amount of just the collapse. This is we've wondered if it was intentional before, at how public schools are assessed, and it's just impossible to for a lot of schools to achieve, have their students reach achievement that satisfies requirements and such. And it's just, this is going to completely, if we couldn't put our shit together when we had the students in the classrooms, can you imagine how dysfunctional this is all going to get? And there's going to be schools, there's going to be classrooms with people in them, and you're going to have outbreaks, and this is just, it's a absolute nightmare scenario. It's going to crumble apart in layers, and eventually we're going to reach the core, and it's just, the lights are going to go out. I mean, I fear for society, folks. This could be this could be the end of society as we know it. This has been the perfect storm to take apart one of the bedrock layers of society, that public education. So many people rely on relationships with teachers. It's such a backbone of society, and once you've had students that haven't had teachers in a couple years, you're going to see some serious changes in society. It's going to be scary. We're all going to live through it together, and we all got to stay safe because this is going to get crazy. If you're not someone who has a preparedness mindset, I would recommend becoming somewhat of a prepper and just being ready for anything. Honestly, be ready for anything. That's the best advice I have for everybody. And rolling forward, I don't know even what to expect. I'll try to post a show, some commentary, something at least every week. That might sometimes be every 2 weeks, but I am here. The starship is going to continue to fly through the cosmos for the foreseeable future. And again, we're just going to be here to watch it all crumble apart. We knew this channel was founded on the idea of taking the red pill, being okay with everything not being okay, and being real about education and the state it was in before the pandemic, before the economic collapse, before the unemployment crisis, before all of the craziness. And now that all of that has happened, we've got really a whole new paradigm, folks. This is almost a post-apocalyptic show now. We are watching society come apart, and we're going to focus on that bedrock layer. We may talk about world events, we may look at them in terms of the context they provide, but we're going to be focusing on education. We're going to be focusing on what teachers are going through in terms of whether they're being exposed to classroom interaction, or if they're being isolated for distance learning only, and how in the world that is all going to attempt to work. And we're going to be here watching the pieces fly off of it as they try to put it together somehow. But I can tell you what, folks, all the king's horses and all the king's men could not get Granny's N95 strap back on again. So I hope you enjoyed the show tonight, and I'd like to welcome you back for next week when I try to find some direction, and we'll come back with some energy, some fervor, and we'll be ready for another rant for you. So thanks for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe, and welcome to Renegade Teacher. Signing off.